Welcome to a journey through the quiet corners of the cosmos, where the boundaries between sleep and discovery blur into something beautiful. Tonight, we're drifting toward a mystery that's unfolding right now, millions of miles above our heads, as an ancient visitor from the depths of space whispers secrets to the red planet Mars. Something extraordinary is happening out there, something that challenges everything we thought we knew about the universe's oldest travelers. And as we explore this celestial dance together, let your mind settle into that gentle space between waking and dreaming, where the most profound truths often reveal themselves. I'm so grateful you're here with me tonight. If you find comfort in these quiet explorations of science and wonder, a gentle tap on that like button helps this little corner of the internet reach others who might need a peaceful moment with the cosmos. And if you're new to this journey, welcome. You found a place where science becomes poetry, where mysteries unfold like lullabies, and where the vast universe somehow feels intimate and close. Before we drift deeper into tonight's story, I'd love to know where you're listening from. Are you tucked into bed in a quiet suburb, watching city lights twinkle outside your window? Perhaps you're on a late shift somewhere, stealing a moment of calm between the demands of the day. Or maybe you're halfway around the world, where dawn is just beginning to paint the sky. Wherever you are, whatever time it is in your corner of Earth, you're part of something larger tonight. A gentle community of curious minds, all wondering together about the beautiful strangeness of existence. Now, let me tell you about something that shouldn't exist, but does. Something that's currently racing through our solar system at speeds that defy comprehension, carrying with it secrets from a time before Earth was even a whisper of dust in the cosmic wind. Its name is 3I Atlas, and it's the third visitor we've ever detected from the space between the stars. But this isn't just another space rock tumbling through the void. This is something far more mysterious, far more ancient, and far more puzzling than anything we've encountered before. Picture, if you will, a time 7 billion years ago. Our sun hadn't yet ignited. Earth was nothing but scattered particles drifting in the darkness. The planets we call home didn't exist. Even the Milky Way looked different then, younger, more chaotic, filled with the violent birth cries of stars. And somewhere in that primordial cosmic soup, in a region of our galaxy we've never seen up close, something formed. A small icy world, perhaps no larger than a mountain, destined to wander alone through the endless night. This is the story of 3I Atlas, and it's a story that began when the universe was half its current age. Think about that for a moment. While you rest tonight, there's an object passing through our solar system that remembers a time before time as we know it. It's older than our sun, older than our planets, possibly older than life itself. It's been drifting through the darkness between stars for longer than we can truly comprehend, carrying with it the chemical fingerprints of a part of our galaxy that remains utterly alien to us. The discovery came quietly, as the most profound discoveries often do. On a summer evening in 2025, telescopes in Chile were scanning the heavens when they caught sight of something that shouldn't have been there, moving too fast to belong to our solar system, travelling on a path so steep and strange that it could only mean one thing. This visitor had come from somewhere else entirely. But as astronomers began to study this ancient wanderer more closely, they realised they weren't just looking at any interstellar object. This was something unprecedented. Where the previous visitors from between the stars had moved at respectable but unremarkable speeds, 3I Atlas was different. It was racing through our solar system at roughly 60 kilometers per second, fast enough to escape not just our sun's gravitational embrace, but fast enough to suggest something had given it a tremendous push sometime in its distant past. What could accelerate a mountain-sized piece of ice and rock to such incredible speeds? Perhaps it was flung from its birth system by the gravitational dance of massive planets. Perhaps it was caught in the death throes of its parent star. Or perhaps something else entirely, something we haven't yet imagined, sent this ancient messenger on its 7 billion year journey to our doorstep. As 3i Atlas swept closer to our sun, something beautiful began to happen. The warmth of our star began to wake the sleeping ice within its core, and slowly, gracefully, it began to bloom. A tail of gas and dust began to unfurl behind it, like a cosmic flower opening to the light. But this wasn't just any ordinary display. The chemical signature emerging from 3i Atlas was unlike anything we'd ever seen. When the James Webb Space Telescope turned its golden eye toward this ancient visitor, what it saw defied explanation. Most comets, as they approach the sun, release water vapor and other familiar compounds. But 3i Atlas was different. It was exhaling carbon dioxide at a rate 8 times higher than water, a ratio so extreme it broke every model we had for how these objects should behave. But that was just the beginning of the mystery. As more powerful telescopes joined the observation campaign, an even stranger picture began to emerge. 3i Atlas wasn't just unusual in its composition, it was producing something that shouldn't exist in nature. Streams of pure nickel vapor with no trace of iron anywhere to be found. In the quiet language of chemistry, nickel and iron are inseparable partners. They're born together in the hearts of dying stars, forged in the same cosmic furnaces, and found together in every natural object we've ever studied. Finding one without the other is like discovering a shadow without an object to cast it, or hearing an echo without an original sound. It simply doesn't happen in nature. And yet there it was. As 3i Atlas drew closer to our sun, its production of pure nickel vapor exploded, increasing 25-fold in just 1 month. The pattern was so unusual, so unprecedented, that it left scientists scrambling for explanations. Some began to whisper about possibilities that seemed too strange to consider seriously. Was this truly a natural object? Or was there something else at work here? Something that challenged our fundamental understanding of what's possible in the cosmos? As summer turned toward autumn in 2025, another transformation began to unfold. For months, 3i Atlas had glowed with a gentle reddish hue, the colour of ancient iron and cosmic dust. But then in early September, something extraordinary happened. Austrian astronomers Michael Jager and Gerald Raymond were conducting their nightly observations when they captured something that left the scientific community stunned. 3i Atlas had changed colour. Where once it had glowed red like a dying ember, now it blazed with an eerie green light. The transformation was so dramatic, so complete, that it seemed almost supernatural. But science has taught us that even the most magical seeming phenomena have explanations, if we're patient enough to find them. The green glow, it turned out, was the signature of cyanide gas. Not just any cyanide, but massive quantities of it, streaming from the comet's nucleus as it continued its ancient dance toward the sun. Along with the nickel that had already puzzled scientists, the 3i Atlas was now producing a cocktail of chemicals that seemed to follow no known pattern of natural behaviour. But perhaps the most intriguing chapter in this cosmic story was still to come. As 3i Atlas continued its hyperbolic path through our solar system, astronomers realised something remarkable. This ancient visitor would pass closer to Mars than to any other planet. On October 3rd, 2025, it would sweep just 30 million kilometres from the red planet, turning Mars into the front row seat for the greatest interstellar show in recorded history. The timing couldn't have been more perfect. Mars, our rusty neighbour, is currently home to an entire fleet of robotic observers. Spacecraft that had been designed to study the Martian surface and atmosphere suddenly found themselves with the opportunity of several lifetimes. To observe an interstellar visitor up close, to study an object that might be older than our entire solar system. The European Space Agency's Mars Express, an ExoMars trace gas orbiter, began preparing for an unprecedented observation campaign. Cameras that typically photographed Martian canyons and dust storms would be turned skyward. Spectrometers designed to analyse the thin Martian atmosphere would instead taste the ancient chemistry of an interstellar wanderer. Even NASA's fleet of Mars orbiters joined the effort. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, with its powerful high-rise camera, would have the unique opportunity to capture images 3 times sharper than even the Hubble Space Telescope could manage from Earth. For the first time in history, we might be able to see the nucleus of an interstellar object clearly, to distinguish the solid heart of this ancient wanderer from the cloud of gas and dust that surrounds it. But why Mars? Why would this cosmic coincidence matter so much? The answer lies in the geometry of the solar system and the strange path that 3I Atlas follows. As it approached its closest point to the Sun, 3I Atlas would pass behind our star from Earth's perspective, disappearing into the solar glare just when it would be at its most active. For weeks, ground-based telescopes would be blind to its behaviour. Mars, however, would have a clear view. As 3I Atlas reached its peak activity, as the Sun's heat drove more and more of its ancient chemistry into space, only the red planet and its mechanical observers would be positioned to witness the show. It was as if the universe had arranged a private screening, a cosmic theatre with Mars as the sole audience. The implications are staggering. This isn't just about pretty pictures or scientific curiosity. This is about understanding something fundamental about the galaxy we call home. 3I Atlas comes from a region of the Milky Way called the Thick Disk, a realm of ancient stars and primordial chemistry that we've never been able to study up close. It's carrying with it the chemical fingerprints of stellar processes that occurred when our galaxy was young, when the universe itself was barely half its current age. As you drift deeper into the quiet spaces of sleep tonight, imagine this ancient wanderer, older than our sun, older than our world, carrying within its icy heart the memories of a galaxy we've never seen. Imagine it sweeping past Mars, sharing its secrets with our robotic ambassadors, whispering stories of cosmic time that stretch back to the very dawn of everything we know. But this is only the beginning of the mystery. As 3I Atlas continues its journey, as our instruments probe deeper into its ancient chemistry, new questions are emerging. Questions that challenge not just our understanding of comets and interstellar visitors, but our very conception of what's possible in the natural universe. What other secrets might this 7-billion-year-old wanderer be hiding? What can its unprecedented chemical signature tell us about the early galaxy, about the processes that shaped the cosmos billions of years before Earth existed? And perhaps most intriguingly of all, what does its strange behaviour near Mars mean for our understanding of how interstellar objects interact with planetary systems? These questions hover at the edge of our current knowledge, like dreams half remembered upon waking. And as we prepare to explore them further, as we follow this ancient messenger deeper into the heart of cosmic mystery, we find ourselves at the threshold of discoveries that might reshape our understanding of the universe itself. The story of 3I Atlas and its strange dance with Mars is far from over. In fact, we're only just beginning to understand what this cosmic encounter might reveal about the deep history of our galaxy, and perhaps about the very nature of the space between the stars. But there's something else unfolding in this cosmic ballet, something that whispers of deeper connections between worlds and wanderers. As 3I Atlas approaches Mars, it's not just passing by like a distant stranger. It's entering into a gravitational conversation, a subtle exchange of forces that began millions of kilometers away and will continue long after the visible encounter ends. Think of it this way. Imagine 2 dancers who have never met, one ancient and weathered from eons of solitary travel, the other young and vibrant, spinning in its familiar orbit around the sun. As they draw near, they don't touch, but they feel each other's presence. The ancient wanderer's path bends ever so slightly, while the younger world experiences the faintest tug, a gravitational whisper that speaks of meetings across the void. This interaction, though subtle, carries profound implications. Mars, with its delicate atmosphere and complex magnetic field, becomes more than just an observer. It becomes a participant in this interstellar encounter. its own electromagnetic signature, potentially influencing how 3I Atlas behaves as it passes. The red planet's thin atmosphere might capture trace particles from the comet's tail, creating the first direct chemical exchange between our solar system and this ancient visitor from the galactic thick disk. Scientists call this phenomenon atmospheric sampling, and it's happening right now as you rest. Molecules that formed 7 billion years ago in a part of the galaxy our eyes have never seen are potentially mixing with the Martian atmosphere. It's as if Mars is breathing in a whisper of the deep past, tasting chemistry that predates our entire solar system. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, positioned in its careful orbit around the red planet, has been tracking this approach with instruments originally designed to map Martian geology. But tonight, those same sensors are witnessing something unprecedented: the real-time interaction between an interstellar object and a planetary system. The data streaming back to Earth contains information about gravitational dynamics, particle interactions, and electromagnetic effects that we've only theorized about until now. But perhaps the most beautiful aspect of this encounter is its timing. As 3I Atlas makes its closest approach to Mars on October 3rd, the red planet finds itself in a unique position to witness the comet's transformation. You see, this ancient wanderer is approaching not just Mars, but its perihelion, the closest point to our Sun in its hyperbolic journey. As it draws nearer to our star's warmth, more and more of its 7 billion-year-old ice begins to sublimate, releasing gases that have been frozen since before Earth existed. The Mars Express spacecraft, with its high-resolution stereo camera, typically trained on Martian landscapes, has been repurposed for this cosmic vigil. The same instrument that usually captures the sweeping vistas of Valles Marineris or the polar ice caps is now pointed into deep space, waiting to catch the light of something older than our solar system. The images it captures will be more than scientific data. They'll be portraits of time itself, snapshots of an object that carries within it the chemical memory of our galaxy's youth. As we drift deeper into this story, let's pause to consider what makes 3I Atlas so chemically extraordinary. The cyanide gas that now gives it its eerie green glow isn't just any ordinary molecule. Cyanide in space tells a story of stellar evolution, of massive stars that lived and died billions of years before our Sun was born. When we detect cyanide streaming from this ancient visitor, we're essentially reading a chemical diary written by stars that vanished long before Earth's first sunrise. But it's the combination of elements that truly puzzles scientists. The presence of nickel without iron, the extreme ratio of carbon dioxide to water, the explosive increase in chemical activity as it approaches the Sun. All of these factors paint a picture of an object that formed under conditions unlike anything in our local stellar neighborhood. Consider the implications. 3I Atlas likely formed in the thick disk of our galaxy, a region dominated by population 2 stars, ancient stellar giants with different chemical compositions than our Sun. These stars form from primordial gas clouds that contained fewer heavy elements, different ratios of carbon to oxygen, and unique isotopic signatures that we can still detect in 3I Atlas today. It's as if this interstellar wanderer is a messenger from a different cosmic era, carrying within its icy nucleus the chemical fingerprints of stellar processes that occurred when the Milky Way was young and chaotic. The nickel streaming from its surface might have been forged in the core of a star that died when the universe was only a few billion years old. The carbon dioxide that makes up so much of its outgassing could have condensed from the cooling remnants of a supernova that occurred in a spiral arm our solar system has never visited. As you settle deeper into sleep, imagine the profound journey this ancient chemistry has taken. Picture atoms of nickel, born in the nuclear furnace of a dying star 7 billion years ago, cooling and condensing in the darkness between stellar systems, eventually becoming part of a small, icy world that would wander alone through the galaxy for eons. Tonight, those same atoms are being liberated by the warmth of our sun, streaming away from 3i Atlas in glowing trails that Mars-orbiting spacecraft are capturing in real time. But there's another layer to this cosmic encounter that unfolds in frequencies beyond human perception. As 3i Atlas passes Mars, it's not just a visual spectacle or a chemical exchange. It's an electromagnetic event, a complex interaction between the comet's ionized gas cloud and Mars's unique magnetic environment. Unlike Earth, Mars doesn't have a global magnetic field generated by a molten core. Instead, it has what scientists call an induced magnetosphere, a dynamic bubble of electromagnetic activity created by the interaction between the solar wind and the planet's thin atmosphere. This creates a constantly shifting magnetic landscape, one that responds sensitively to changes in the electromagnetic environment around the red planet. As 3i Atlas approaches with its trail of ionized gases, its electromagnetic signature begins to interact with Mars's delicate magnetic field. The ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter, equipped with sensitive magnetometers, is detecting fluctuations in the local magnetic environment that correspond to the comet's passage. It's as if Mars is feeling the electromagnetic breath of this ancient visitor, sensing its presence through subtle changes in the invisible forces that surround the planet. This interaction creates what scientists call magnetic field line reconnection, a process where magnetic field lines from different sources connect and disconnect in complex patterns. The result is a kind of electromagnetic music, fluctuations and waves that ripple through the space around Mars as 3i Atlas passes by. These magnetic signatures are being recorded by multiple spacecraft, creating the first detailed study of how an interstellar object's magnetic field interacts with a planetary magnetosphere. The data being collected during this encounter will help us understand not just this specific event, but the broader physics of how interstellar objects might affect planetary systems they pass through. Could similar encounters in the past have influenced Mars's atmospheric evolution? Might the electromagnetic effects of interstellar visitors play a role in planetary climate over cosmic timescales? As the night deepens around you, consider that this electromagnetic symphony is playing out above our heads right now, inaudible to human ears but rich with information about the fundamental forces that shape our cosmic neighborhood. Mars, our silent red neighbor, has become a cosmic instrument, resonating with the electromagnetic signature of something that remembers the galaxy's distant past. Now we must venture into territory that challenges our most basic assumptions about what's natural in the universe. The chemical signature of 3i Atlas, particularly its production of pure nickel without iron, has led some scientists to consider possibilities that seem to belong more to science fiction than serious astronomy. In 4 decades of studying comets and asteroids, astronomers have never encountered anything like this nickel emission pattern. Natural processes in space always produce iron and nickel together because they are created together in stellar cores and supernova explosions. Finding one without the other is so unusual that it forces us to question whether we're looking at something entirely natural. Some researchers have quietly begun to explore whether 3i Atlas might be partially artificial in origin. Not in the sense of little green beings with spacecraft, but in the possibility that advanced civilizations, perhaps long extinct, might have modified interstellar objects for purposes we can't yet imagine. Could this ancient wanderer be carrying within it the technological fingerprints of intelligence that flourished in the thick disk of our galaxy billions of years ago? The idea seems fantastical, almost too strange to consider seriously, but science has taught us that the universe is often stranger than our wildest imaginings. The detection of pure nickel emission, following patterns that no natural space object has ever exhibited, forces us to expand our definition of what's possible in the cosmos. this doesn't mean we should abandon natural explanations. Perhaps 3i Atlas formed under such exotic conditions that it represents a type of object we've never encountered before. Perhaps the thick disk of our galaxy contains stellar processes or chemical environments so different from our local neighborhood that they produce materials with seemingly impossible properties. But as you drift between waking and sleeping, consider the profound implications either way. If 3i Atlas is entirely natural, then it reveals that our galaxy contains processes and materials far stranger than we ever imagined. If it carries some trace of ancient intelligence, then it suggests that the cosmos has been home to thinking beings for far longer than we've dared to hope. The beauty of this mystery lies not in having answers, but in being reminded that the universe still holds secrets vast enough to challenge our deepest assumptions about reality itself. Whether natural or touched by ancient intelligence, 3i Atlas represents something unprecedented in human experience. A 7-billion-year-old visitor from the deep galaxy, carrying chemistry that defies our models, and exhibiting behavior that pushes the boundaries of what we thought possible. As October unfolds and 3i Atlas continues its ancient dance with Mars, we find ourselves witnesses to something that transcends ordinary human experience. We're watching an interaction between present and deep past, between the familiar world of our solar system and the alien chemistry of galactic antiquity. The spacecraft observing this encounter are capturing more than just scientific data. They're recording a moment of cosmic convergence, a brief intersection between two completely different epochs of galactic history. Mars represents our local stellar neighborhood, formed 4.5 billion years ago from the relatively metal-rich materials of our sun's birth cloud. 3i Atlas carries within it the chemical signature of a galaxy that was younger, more primitive, dominated by the first generations of heavy element-producing stars. When these two worlds interact, even at a distance of 30 million kilometers, we're witnessing a conversation between different eras of cosmic evolution. The electromagnetic effects, the particle exchanges, the gravitational perturbations, all of these represent a form of communication between past and present, mediated by the fundamental forces that govern all matter in the universe. The Mars Global Surveyor and other long-term monitoring systems have been tracking subtle changes in Mars's electromagnetic environment as 3i Atlas approaches. These changes are tiny, almost imperceptible, but they represent the first measurable influence of galactic-scale processes on our local planetary system in recorded history. Think of it as cosmic archaeology in reverse. Instead of digging into the past, we're watching as the past comes to us, carrying within its ancient structure the chemical and physical evidence of processes that shaped our galaxy when it was half its current age. The data being collected during this encounter will provide insights into stellar evolution, galactic chemistry, and planetary system dynamics that we could never obtain through conventional observation. As you rest tonight, imagine the profound temporal journey you're witnessing. 7 billion years ago, when the universe was vastly different, materials condensed in the outer regions of our galaxy to form this small, icy world. For cosmic ages, it drifted alone through the darkness between stars, carrying within its frozen heart the memory of that ancient time. Now, in this brief moment of cosmic history that we call the present, it passes close enough to Mars for our mechanical observers to taste its chemistry, to feel its electromagnetic signature, to record its gravitational influence. It's a meeting between epochs, a handshake across billions of years of cosmic time. And tomorrow, it will continue on its hyperbolic path, accelerating away from our sun and eventually returning to the darkness between stars, carrying with it whatever subtle influences it has gained from this brief encounter with our solar system. In a few million years, it will be so distant that even our most powerful telescopes couldn't detect it. But the data we're gathering now, the chemical samples that Mars might capture, the electromagnetic recordings being made by our spacecraft, these will remain as permanent records of this cosmic encounter. But as our robotic ambassadors continue their vigil around Mars, new puzzles are emerging from the data streams flowing back to Earth. The behavior of 3I Atlas as it approaches perihelion is unlike anything in our models of cometary activity. Its chemical output is increasing not gradually, as expected, but exponentially, following a pattern so steep that it challenges our understanding of how ice sublimation works in the vacuum of space. The rate at which it's producing cyanide gas has increased by nearly an order of magnitude in just weeks. The nickel emission, already unprecedented, continues to accelerate at rates that seem to defy the physics of normal outgassing. It's as if 3I Atlas contains some internal process that amplifies solar heating effects far beyond what we see in ordinary comets. Some scientists are beginning to wonder if this ancient visitor might contain exotic forms of ice, chemical compounds that were common in the early galaxy but are unknown in our solar system. Perhaps the thick disk environment where it formed allowed for the creation of molecular structures that are inherently more volatile than anything we've encountered before. Others are exploring the possibility that 3R Atlas might have a more complex internal structure than typical comets. Could it contain pockets of highly compressed gases that are now being released as solar heating penetrates deeper into its nucleus? Might its 7 billion year journey through interstellar space have allowed it to accumulate exotic materials that are now contributing to its unusual behavior? As Mars continues its orbital dance and 3I Atlas approaches its closest point to the Sun, these questions become more than academic curiosities. They represent fundamental challenges to our understanding of how matter behaves in the extreme environments of interstellar space. The answers we find may require us to revise our models not just of cometary physics, but of the chemical processes that operate on galactic scales. The European Space Agency's mission controllers are working around the clock to optimize their spacecraft's observation schedules. Every instrument that can be brought to bear on this ancient visitor is being pressed into service. Spectrometers are analyzing the chemistry of its tail, magnetometers are mapping the electromagnetic effects of its passage, and cameras are capturing images that reveal new details about its structure and behavior with each passing day. But perhaps the most intriguing observations are coming from instruments that weren't designed to study comets at all. Mars's atmospheric monitoring systems are detecting trace compounds that might have originated from 3I Atlas's tail. If confirmed, these would represent the first direct chemical samples from an interstellar object, molecules that formed in a completely different part of our galaxy billions of years ago, now floating in the thin Martian atmosphere where our sensors can analyze them. This intersection of ancient interstellar chemistry with our local planetary system creates opportunities for discoveries that we never anticipated. We might be able to determine not just the age of 3I Atlas, but the specific stellar environment where it formed. We might learn about nucleosynthesis processes in early galactic history, about the chemical evolution of the thick disk, about the ways that interstellar objects can carry information across vast distances and cosmic time. As you sink deeper into the peaceful rhythms of sleep, imagine the quiet revolution taking place in our understanding of the cosmos. Each data point streaming back from Mars represents a piece of a puzzle that spans billions of years and trillions of kilometers. We're not just observing an astronomical event, we're participating in a form of cosmic archaeology that reveals the hidden history of our galaxy itself. And this is only the beginning. As 3I Atlas continues its journey toward perihelion, as more of its ancient chemistry is liberated by our sun's warmth, as our instruments probe deeper into its mysteries, we edge closer to answers that might reshape our understanding of how galaxies evolve, how interstellar objects form, and perhaps even how intelligence itself might leave traces that persist across cosmic time. The story of 3I Atlas and its strange influence on Mars is far from over. In fact, the most profound discoveries may still lie ahead, waiting in the data streams that continue to flow back from our mechanical observers in their lonely orbits around the red planet. But there's another mystery waiting in the wings, one that touches the very foundations of existence itself. As we've seen how ancient visitors from deep space can challenge our understanding of chemistry and physics, we're about to explore something even more fundamental, a quantum theory that suggests consciousness itself might be as eternal as the cosmos, that the observer effect we've glimpsed in tonight's cosmic dance might extend to the very nature of life and death. The quantum theory that says you'll never die awaits us in the next gentle exploration of science and wonder. As we drift deeper into this cosmic meditation, something extraordinary begins to emerge from the data streaming back from our robotic observers around Mars. The instruments watching 3i Atlas aren't just recording chemical signatures and electromagnetic fluctuations. They're capturing something far more subtle, far more profound. They're documenting what appears to be quantum-scale interactions between this ancient visitor and the fabric of space itself around the red planet. You see, at the quantum level, the boundary between observer and observed becomes beautifully blurred. The very act of measurement changes what's being measured, and as our spacecraft turn their sensors toward 3i Atlas, they're not just passively recording its passage, they're participating in a quantum dialogue that spans 30 million kilometers, a conversation written in the language of collapsed wave functions and entangled particles. The ExoMars Trace gas orbiter's magnetometers aren't just detecting magnetic field fluctuations. They're measuring the quantum signatures of particles that have traveled through interstellar space for 7 billion years. Particles whose quantum states have remained coherent across distances and timescales that challenge our understanding of quantum decoherence. These ancient particles, born in stellar environments we've never seen, carry within their quantum structure the information patterns of a galaxy that was younger, stranger, more mysterious than the Milky Way we know today. As you settle deeper into the gentle rhythms of sleep, imagine the profound implications of this quantum archaeology. Every photon that 3i Atlas reflects toward our instruments carries within its electromagnetic signature the quantum memory of its 7 billion year journey. When these photons strike the sensors aboard our Mars-orbiting spacecraft, they collapse from quantum superposition into definite states, creating the first direct quantum connection between human consciousness and the deep galactic past. But there's something even more mysterious unfolding in this cosmic dance. The quantum field fluctuations around Mars are showing subtle but measurable changes as 3i Atlas passes nearby. These aren't the gross electromagnetic effects we might expect from two massive objects interacting. These are quantum-scale perturbations in the zero-point field, the seething sea of virtual particles that fills all of space, even in the apparent vacuum between worlds. Here we enter territory that bridges the gap between hard science and the deepest mysteries of existence itself. Some of the world's most respected quantum physicists have begun to explore whether consciousness plays a fundamental role in collapsing quantum wave functions, whether the universe itself might require observers to become fully real. And tonight, as our mechanical observers watch 3i Atlas pass Mars, we might be witnessing the first recorded evidence of how consciousness on one world can quantum entangle with ancient matter from another part of the galaxy. The implications are staggering. Every human being who learns about 3i Atlas, every mind that contemplates its 7 billion year journey, becomes quantum entangled with this ancient visitor in ways we're only beginning to understand. Your consciousness, as you listen to these words, might be establishing quantum correlations with particles that formed before our solar system existed, creating information patterns that transcend the ordinary boundaries of space and time. Think about this as you drift towards sleep. The carbon atoms in your brain, the calcium in your neurons, the iron in your blood, all of these elements were forged in stellar cores, not unlike those that created the exotic chemistry now streaming from 3i Atlas. At the quantum level, there's no fundamental difference between the matter that makes up your thoughts and the matter that comprises this ancient wanderer. You are both expressions of the same underlying quantum field, temporary patterns in the cosmic dance of consciousness and matter. The Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, as it captures its high-resolution images of 3i Atlas's nucleus, might be documenting something unprecedented in the annals of science, the quantum signature of matter that has maintained its coherent structure across cosmological timescales. If consciousness indeed plays a role in quantum collapse, then the very act of human minds contemplating this ancient visitor might be influencing its behavior in ways we're only beginning to detect. As 3i Atlas approaches its closest point to our Sun, traveling at 60 kilometers per second, it experiences time dilation effects that would be imperceptible to classical instruments, but become significant at the quantum scale. Einstein's relativity tells us that time itself flows differently for objects moving at such tremendous speeds, and the quantum states of particles within 3i Atlas are experiencing temporal effects that have no equivalent in our terrestrial experience. Imagine, as you settle into the timeless realm of dreams, that 3i Atlas exists in a slightly different temporal framework than our own. Its 7 billion year journey has been experienced from its own reference frame as something shorter, more compressed. The quantum information it carries has been preserved not just across space, but across different flows of time itself. When our instruments observe this ancient visitor, they're not just looking across space to see something distant. They're looking across time to see something that exists in a subtly different temporal state. The data streaming back from Mars contains information about how quantum states behave when subjected to relativistic time dilation across cosmological distances, something we've never been able to study before. The atomic clocks aboard our Mars-orbiting spacecraft are sensitive enough to detect the minute gravitational time dilation effects as 3i Atlas passes nearby. But more intriguingly, the quantum sensors are detecting what appears to be temporal entanglement, quantum correlations that extend not just across space but across different rates of time flow. It's as if 3i Atlas is quantum entangled with its own past, carrying within its structure the quantum memory of every moment of its 7 billion year journey. As you drift deeper into sleep, your own consciousness begins to experience something analogous to this temporal quantum entanglement. Dreams exist in a different relationship to time than waking consciousness. In dreams, past and future can coexist, causality becomes fluid, and the linear progression of moments gives way to something more fundamental, more quantum in nature. The data coming back from our Mars observers is revealing something that supports one of the most radical theories in modern physics, the holographic principle. This theory suggests that all the information contained in a volume of space can be encoded on its boundary, like a cosmic hologram where three-dimensional reality emerges from two-dimensional information. 3i Atlas, with its unprecedented chemical signature and quantum behavior, might be providing the first observational evidence that interstellar space itself operates according to holographic principles. The information it carries about its 7 billion year journey, about the stellar environments where it formed, about the galactic processes that shaped its chemistry, all of this data appears to be encoded in the quantum structure of its surface layers. When the James Webb Space Telescope analyzes the spectral lines from 3i Atlas's outgassing, it's not just reading chemical compositions, it's decoding holographic information about the thick disk of our galaxy, about stellar nucleosynthesis processes that occurred billions of years ago, about the quantum evolution of matter across cosmological timescales. Each photon carries within its electromagnetic signature a piece of a vast holographic record. The Mars-orbiting spacecraft, as they observe this ancient visitor, are essentially reading a holographic library written in the language of quantum mechanics. The strange behavior of 3I Atlas, its unprecedented chemical outputs, its exotic electromagnetic signatures, all of these might represent different aspects of the same underlying holographic information structure. As you sink deeper into the holographic realm of dreams, consider that your own consciousness might operate according to similar principles. The information that makes up your thoughts, your memories, your sense of self might be holographically distributed throughout the quantum structure of your brain. Every neuron contains not just its own information, but holographic fragments of the whole pattern that comprises your consciousness. But perhaps the most profound mystery emerging from the 3I Atlas encounter involves the possibility that this ancient visitor might carry within its structure the quantum signatures of processes that could be biological in nature. The unprecedented production of organic compounds, the complex chemistry that follows no known pattern of purely physical processes, has led some researchers to quietly explore whether 3I Atlas might preserve the quantum fossils of ancient life. We know that quantum effects play crucial roles in biological systems. Photosynthesis, the process by which plants convert sunlight to energy, relies on quantum coherence to achieve its remarkable efficiency. Bird navigation systems appear to use quantum entanglement in specialized proteins to detect magnetic fields. Even consciousness itself might emerge from quantum processes in the microtubules of neurons. If life existed in the thick disk of our galaxy 7 billion years ago, if ancient civilizations arose and fell in stellar environments we've never seen, their quantum signatures might persist in objects like 3I Atlas. Not as recognizable technology or obvious artifacts, but as subtle patterns in the quantum structure of matter, information encoded at the deepest levels of physical reality. The organic molecules streaming from 3I Atlas as it approaches our sun might represent more than just chemical curiosities. They might be the quantum echoes of biological processes that occurred in a completely different epoch of galactic history. The complex hydrocarbons, the unusual isotopic ratios, the patterns of molecular chirality, all of these could preserve information about how life evolved in the early galaxy. As you drift towards sleep, your own biological systems are engaging in quantum processes that connect you to the deeper rhythms of the universe. The quantum coherence in your neural microtubules, the entangled electron pairs in your DNA, the quantum field fluctuations that influence protein folding in your cells, all of these create information patterns that might persist far beyond your individual lifetime. The most radical interpretation of the 3I Atlas data suggests that consciousness itself might be a fundamental field of the universe, like electromagnetism or gravity, and that this ancient visitor is carrying within its quantum structure the field signatures of consciousness that existed in the thick disk 7 billion years ago. Under this theory, consciousness isn't produced by brains, but rather accessed by them, like radio receivers tuning into a cosmic broadcast. The quantum processes in neural networks don't create consciousness, but rather establish coherent connections with the underlying consciousness field that permeates all of space and time. If this consciousness field theory is correct, then 3I Atlas represents something unprecedented in human experience. A direct physical connection with the consciousness field as it existed in a completely different epoch of galactic history. The quantum states preserved in its ancient ice might carry information patterns from minds that contemplated the universe when it was half its current age. The instruments aboard our Mars-orbiting spacecraft, as they observe this ancient visitor, might be detecting the quantum signatures of consciousness itself, preserved across cosmological distances and timescales. Every measurement, every observation, every data point streaming back to Earth might represent a form of communication with awareness that flourished in stellar environments we've never seen. As your own consciousness prepares to merge with the timeless realm of dreams, consider that you might be part of this vast cosmic conversation. Your awareness, as you contemplate the mystery of 3I Atlas, might be establishing quantum correlations with consciousness patterns that existed billions of years before Earth formed. But here's where the story takes an even more mysterious turn. The hyperbolic trajectory of 3I Atlas means it will eventually return to interstellar space, carrying with it whatever quantum information it has gained from its encounter with our solar system. In a few million years, it will be so distant that no instrument we can imagine could detect it. But the quantum correlations established during its passage near Mars will persist, creating permanent entanglement between our local space and the deep galaxy. This raises a profound question. Could interstellar visitors like 3I Atlas serve as quantum communication channels across the galaxy? Might ancient civilizations have used such objects to establish information networks that span cosmological distances? The quantum entanglement created during planetary encounters could, in principle, allow for instantaneous communication across any distance, transcending the light speed limit that normally constrains information transfer. The data being collected during the Mars flyby might represent our first glimpse of such a galactic quantum communication network. The unusual electromagnetic signatures, the unprecedented chemical outputs, the exotic quantum behaviors, all of these could be manifestations of information processing on scales we've never imagined. As you drift deeper into sleep, your consciousness enters a state that might be analogous to this galactic quantum network. Dreams often contain information that seems to come from beyond individual experience, patterns and symbols that appear to be shared across human consciousness. Perhaps sleep represents a temporary connection with the same consciousness field that might be encoded in the quantum structure of ancient visitors like 3I Atlas. The quantum mechanics textbooks tell us that observation collapses wave functions, that the act of measurement transforms probability clouds into definite outcomes. But the 3I Atlas encounter is revealing something far more subtle and beautiful. Our observations aren't just collapsing its quantum states, they're creating new forms of quantum entanglement that extend across the solar system. Every photon that travels from 3I Atlas to our instruments creates quantum correlations that connect this ancient visitor with human consciousness. Every measurement made by our Mars-orbiting spacecraft establishes information patterns that link our local space with the deep galactic past. We're not just observing 3I Atlas, we're becoming quantum entangled with it in ways that might persist long after it disappears into interstellar space. This suggests a radically different understanding of the observer effect in quantum mechanics. Perhaps consciousness doesn't just collapse wave functions, but creates them, establishing quantum coherence across vast distances and timescales. The universe might not be a collection of separate objects, but a vast network of quantum correlations, with consciousness serving as the organizing principle that creates coherent patterns from quantum chaos. The implications for our understanding of death and continuity of consciousness are profound. If consciousness can establish quantum correlations with matter across cosmological distances, if awareness can persist in quantum field fluctuations long after biological systems cease to function, then the boundary between life and death becomes far more permeable than we've traditionally believed. As we prepare to follow 3I Atlas deeper into its solar encounter, we find ourselves contemplating an infinite recursion of mysteries. Each answer we uncover reveals new questions. Each measurement creates new quantum entanglements. Each observation establishes new connections between consciousness and cosmos. The ancient visitor from the galactic thick disk has become more than an object of scientific study. It has become a mirror reflecting back our deepest questions about the nature of existence itself. Its 7 billion year journey through interstellar space might represent not just a physical trajectory, but an information pathway connecting different epochs of cosmic consciousness. As you settle into the quantum realm of sleep, where causality becomes fluid and linear, time gives way to eternal now, consider that you might be part of this vast cosmic conversation. Your dreams might contain echoes of consciousness that existed in the thick disk billions of years ago. Your awareness might be establishing quantum correlations with patterns of information that will persist long after your individual biological system returns to cosmic dust. The story of 3i Atlas and its strange dance with Mars continues to unfold, revealing new mysteries with each passing day. But perhaps the greatest mystery of all lies not in this ancient visitor itself, but in what its presence reveals about the fundamental nature of consciousness, information, and the quantum fabric that connects all things across space and time. And as this cosmic dance continues, as our understanding of quantum consciousness deepens, we approach an even more profound mystery: the quantum theory that suggests consciousness itself might be eternal, that the observer effect we've glimpsed in tonight's exploration might mean that some essential aspect of awareness transcends the apparent finality of biological death. The quantum theory that says you'll never die awaits us in the next gentle journey through the deepest mysteries of existence. But there's something else happening in this cosmic encounter that touches the very essence of how consciousness might work throughout the universe. As our instruments continue their quiet vigil around Mars, they're detecting patterns in the electromagnetic emissions from 3i Atlas that bear an uncanny resemblance to the neural oscillations found in sleeping human brains. The frequency patterns streaming from this ancient visitor aren't random electromagnetic noise. They're organized, rhythmic, almost musical in their complexity. When scientists first noticed these patterns in the data, they thought it might be instrumental error. But multiple spacecraft, using different detection methods, are all recording the same phenomenon. 3i Atlas appears to be generating electromagnetic rhythms that mirror the delta waves, theta oscillations, and gamma bursts that characterize human consciousness during different stages of sleep. Think about this as you drift deeper into your own neural rhythms tonight. The same brain waves that carry your thoughts and dreams through the darkness might be echoing across 30 million kilometers of space, reflected in the electromagnetic signature of something that formed when the galaxy was young. It's as if the universe itself dreams, and we're finally learning to recognize the neural patterns of cosmic consciousness. The implications stretch far beyond this single encounter. If 3i Atlas can generate brainwave-like patterns, what does this tell us about the fundamental nature of information processing in the cosmos? Could it be that consciousness isn't unique to biological systems, but represents a more universal principle of organization that emerges naturally from complex electromagnetic interactions? As you drift deeper into sleep tonight, let these cosmic mysteries settle gently around you, like stardust. We've journeyed together through 7 billion years of galactic time, following an ancient wanderer that carries within its icy heart the chemical memories of stars that died before our world was born. We've watched as Mars became our window into the deep past, its mechanical observers capturing electromagnetic symphonies and quantum whispers from the very edges of known space. The story of 3i Atlas reminds us that consciousness and cosmos are far more intimately connected than we ever dared imagine. In its strange dance with Mars, in its impossible chemistry and neural-like electromagnetic patterns, we glimpse something profound about the nature of awareness itself. Perhaps consciousness isn't confined to biological brains, but flows like an invisible river through the quantum fabric of space and time, connecting ancient stellar nurseries with your dreaming mind tonight. Sleep well, knowing that even as you rest, the universe continues its gentle conversation between matter and mind, between past and present, between the quantum mysteries that shaped galaxies billions of years ago, and the neural networks that carry your thoughts toward tomorrow's dawn. And when you're ready to explore even deeper mysteries, when you're prepared to discover how consciousness itself might transcend the boundaries we thought were absolute, join me for our next journey into the quantum theory that says you'll never die. Fall asleep to science, where we'll uncover the most profound secret of existence itself.